Well, hello everyone. I'm Maritza Barone and welcome to my podcast, Things You Can't Unhear. As a presenter with a focus on wellness, I have interviewed very many health professionals in my time and heard stories that have opened my eyes about the world we live in today. But I found the best bits that I take home with me and the things I heard that have changed my life are usually when the recording shuts off and we can talk in length behind the scenes. And that's the information that I want to share with you on this podcast. Today, I'm going to introduce you to Dr. Simon Floreani, a leading chiropractor with his own wellness clinic in Melbourne called Vitality Health. He's been practicing for over 20 years and he's passionate about his clients' outcomes. Wellness is a natural extension of his therapy for clients wanting the most from their health and their bodies. Hello, Simon.
Hi, Maritza. Thanks so much for having me on board.
Oh, no. Thank you for being here. Now, I know the benefits of chiropractic care, but for our listeners, can you just break it down for them and give them an overall rundown of what they can achieve from being treated by a chiropractor?
Certainly. Well, look, the backbone's connected to everything. And what people don't realise is it's like when a chiropractor looks at your spine, it's like a reflexologist looking at your feet. They can tell what's going on in the body by looking at the fuse box that controls your house. And if the fuses are switched off, then it doesn't matter how many times you try and plug your hairdryer in or your washing machine, it's not going to work because the fuse is not letting the electricity flow from the power, the power source. So our main job, which is so simple, that we get it, the medical system gets it mixed up, is that we're just trying to tune the body like you tune a great guitar to let great harmony happen. The body has an inbuilt healing system. And what most people have been misled in their upbringing to believe is that the Band-Aid fixes the wound or that the drug fixes the cough or the antibiotics, fixes the cough. It's always the body that does the job. And we've got a whole healing mechanism in us that if we just give it a chance, will heal our wounds, will mend everything in the body and will help us actually run really well.
Because the body is very clever, isn't it? We've got to admit, it's very clever. It knows what it's doing.
I don't know when the last time you looked at a cut on your hand and watched it heal without you doing anything. That's the stuff that, Mother Nature makes seeds turn into flowers and, an egg turn into a human without us adding any influence whatsoever.
So it's all drug-free care, really, isn't it?
That's the foundation stone of chiropractic. Is that decades, hundreds of years ago, the profession said we really got to do this different. We've got to use the natural healing capacity of the body and be like a true doctor should treat you when you're well, so that you stay well tuned, like we do to our cars, like we maintain our gardens, stop weeds growing, and we do all these things to feed the soil and do all the right things so that we get great crops. If we just do the same with our kids and with ourselves, we feed ourselves well, we remove all the hurdles that knock us around, then the body flourishes.
There is that idea that chiropractic care is just there for back pain or neck pain, but it's so much more than that. And it just, it boosts immunity, it boosts overall health, and there's so much benefit to being treated regularly by a chiropractor. But I do know that chiropractors, I've been to many in my life, many clinics are run differently and clients are treated differently. How do you treat your clients in a different way to what other practices do?
Well, we're coming through a massive generational jump. In the old days, our parents would never pay attention to even what was going on with their health, and they'd eat and drink whatever they liked, and then hand the body off to the doctor or the hospital, and they would patch it and fix it and send you back out, and you'd still do just as many bad things and not take responsibility. So with wellness care, which is sort of the main focus we have, which is a holistic care, to look at your whole life and go, all right, so you've got some genetic history or you've got a trauma history where you might have fallen off your horse as a kid, and so you might have injured your body, and we can patch and fix the mechanics of the spine. So a lot of chiropractors just do mechanics. And then there's chiropractors that do neurology, which is training the nerves how to work again and how to breathe better, how to walk better, how to move better, so that you're not just dealing with immediate pain and alarm bells going off in the body. And then there's chiropractors that do all those three things and then add all those two things and add a third thing, which is to go, well, hold on, why don't we look at prevention? Why don't we look at the things that are going to be pulling you backwards and prevent them happening so that you can consistently improve? And that way you will consistently get more efficiency out of the body. And you're getting on board to, if you were tired and run down, of course you're going to be more susceptible to having infections because bugs love a host that's weak. And so if you had a practitioner that said, hey, Maritza, you're not getting enough sleep, you're looking, you're not eating that well, you're out, socializing too much, how about we curb that? Now, that's a conversation, but it can be a life-changing conversation. And then if I say to you, hey, you're looking like you're low in iron, how about we top that up? And so a holistic practitioner is looking at all of the elements of what happens and learning what's happening in Maritza's life to be able to say, how about we make these small changes and then your body is staying tuned like a good Ferrari. It should be tuned and then it performs well. And that's the job of a good holistic wellness practitioner, is to learn about their client's lifestyle and their other contributing habits to keep them really performing well.
And that really is the point of difference with you. And I love that you're so focused on the outcome of your client's health and not just, that Band-Aid's temporary solution.
I learned a philosophy from our Chinese doctor growing up, and he said, in true Western philosophy, you should pay your doctor to keep you well, and you should not pay them when you're sick, because then there would be accountability.
Exactly.
And so I have that principle with my patients. It's a promise to say, look, you pay me to keep you well, and your body will perform. And really, I know that healthcare has become more and more consumer driven, and it should have been that way for a long time. Every other industry is driven by the consumer, except the health industry. The consumer just gets whatever they get. So it's my hope that in my lifetime, healthcare will be consumer-driven and people will go expecting and demanding results and wanting to be well and to live strong rather than just waiting till they fall apart and then being patched up with something that, that doesn't make sense to them.
I really want to touch on your mission soon, but you've been in the media many, many times defending chiropractic care, and this seems to be a reoccurring thing in the media, that this ongoing topic that keeps sort of rearing its head, where there's concerns coming from different health professionals about the safety of chiropractic care. What do you have to say about this, and how do you settle people's nerves when it comes to ensuring that they're safe in your hands?
Well, there's some really interesting economics, I think is the best way to call it, about when an industry runs a country or runs the world. It really doesn't like competition. And unfortunately for the mainstream approaches, the chiropractic care is the second most utilised profession after the GP. And that's only happened in the last 5 years. And so people are taking their children, especially children and pregnant women, don't want drugs and they don't want traditional medical procedures. The parents don't want them for their kids because parents are looking for why the child's not right, why the child's not in balance. And when Jennifer and I, my wife and I, wrote some of our books, we started saying, look, it's our job as a parent to find out why our child's out of balance. It's not a matter of covering it up with the medication and hoping that the problem will go away. The body has got an alarm system in it. And when you have pain or when you have fever or when you have signs of being out of balance, you've got to find a practitioner or people in the community that can help you get your child back in balance. And so chiropractors have been looking at that and not just covering over the symptoms that's part of our training. And so we've had this enormous increase in children and pregnant women and families coming to see the chiropractor. And that's not for necessarily a condition, but it's to get children back in balance and to get the body back in balance and look at ways and means, whether that's from diet and exercise or whether it's from adjustments that we do or whatever it is, we try and work with people to get their bodies back in balance and look at is a child doing exercises one way on one side but not the other? or, there's all sorts of things we've got to assess as a practitioner and give feedback to change the way people run their body. So with that increased popularity has come increased scrutiny because people think we're twisting these kids' heads off, and we just don't do that. We modify techniques for every age group, pregnant women, babies, elderly.
And these little videos that keep popping up on social media aren't helping either.
No, and there's only a couple, but there's also hundreds of thousands out there of people loving their adjustments, and there's all sorts of ways to assist the body with gentle adjustments and things. And every person that works with your child, you should hold them accountable and be able to say to them, hey, I don't feel safe, or please explain everything you're going to do before I give you permission. That's a really important part of every chiropractor's practice, is to make sure we inform people, we give them clear guidelines of what we're going to do, especially if it's something that's dynamic.
Yep.
But as a general rule, most kids purr like kittens when they get adjusted. They get stretched and loosened, and their bodies gently receive it. It's an adjustment on a flexible young spine is like scratching a cat.
There's always that test of would you do it on your own child, and obviously you have with your children. Tell us about your own family and how it's worked for them.
Well, I'm blessed. I have four boys. Eldest is 18, then down to 10. They've been adjusted since hours after their birth. Birth is very taxing and twisting on a baby. It's all its bones and even skull plates get all twisted and manoeuvred to get through the birth canal. So we try and check them, make sure that they're in great nick. I'm very blessed. My kids have never had antibiotics. They've never had Panadol or paracetamol. They've actually, my 16-year-old son, for the very first time in the last 12 months, had his first ever trip to a hospital and a doctor.
Wow.
The medical system is there for those sorts of emergencies, but in general, when your kids are healthy and you keep them healthy and you keep building their bodies up, they become vibrant. I'm blessed as well. We're not particularly smart people, but my children are such well-adjusted, bright sparks who are fed super nutrition or organic diet that one of my children have been put up at upper year level at school because he's just such an absorptive, bright sponge. And what we forget is that a body that's thriving wants more out of life. And wouldn't it be great if we were forever talking about how we could enhance our children and build them up and add so much value to them that they just were brighter and brighter. And that's the magic of doing things that are life-giving.
Unbelievable. I just can't believe your children have never had antibiotics or painkillers. That is phenomenal, because I know my own children. And when you have, I had a child in my late 20s. Actually, I had no idea what I was doing at the time. And the first person I would call for help was a maternal health nurse. And it was always, just give her a little bit of Panadol or some Nurofen. And that's what I did. Looking back on that and knowing who I am now and what I've learned over the last 10 plus years is that there are other ways to fix things other than drugs. And
that's the show-stopping, fascinating concept, isn't it? That someone could possibly live a life without some of those things that we think are normal. And if we teach people, and that's what I do a lot. I mean, I see probably as many children and infants as what I do adults in my practice, and that's because we can really educate you on how to bring your kids up drug-free, switched on, using nutrition. And this is not chiropractic adjustments alone. This is about nutrition, about listening to the signs that the body's giving and adapting to that rather than just covering the symptoms up.
The intuition, right?
And we know it. And that's part of why we're probably having this conversation now, is because multiple times I've empowered you,
exactly.
like I do my parents, to go, you do know the answers. And this should make common sense to you. And so next time you've got it in your repertoire to go,
exactly.
That's because you're tired, kid. Or that's because you haven't eaten, or you're having too much sugar.
But tell me, does chiropractic care benefit children with serious health concerns such as ADHD and autism? Have you seen results with those cases?
It often may, and I'm cautious about promising anything because it's not possible to say broad blanket statements. And in our book, Ticklish, we talk a lot about the body out of balance and about those spectrum disorders, and empower parents to pick it up early and look at the milestones of where a child's not developing and say, okay, I need to put some interventions in place, and we give solutions on that. And it's a very simple, easy read book with simple solutions that are not just about chiropractic adjustments. They're about lifestyle, nutrition, all different types of therapists that you can see.
And that's called Ticklish.
It's called Ticklish, helping your children to live, learn and play. And it's by Dr. Jennifer Floreani and myself, Simon Floreani. And it's a really sweet read to help teach you as a parent to watch and learn how your children can get out of balance, and then how you can tip them or tickle them, because you can only tickle someone that you love and trust. Mm-hmm. You can't tickle a stranger. You got to not push your kids. You got to tickle them and encourage them, and it's a touch that should burst them into new levels of learning and awareness. And
it's so funny that you say that. I've just finished reading the book, actually, and there has been a lot more tickling in my house with my children. And when one of them starts to get into a mood or disagreeing with me, I just, instead of fighting back or arguing, I'll just start tickling them, and I end up getting my own way and getting my message across because we bring humour into it. And I've literally gotten that from that book. So
that's awesome, because that's an attitude to parenting, and it's actually my attitude to being a practitioner, is to keep it light, make it easy to win, and just tickle people along to go, hey, I've got a smorgasbord of information and ideas and health solutions for you, but just take what you want at your pace and make it light and fun, not another chore. Kids don't need more pressure. They need more love and,
exactly.
and nourishing.
I wonder if we can incorporate that into the corporate world as well. We just tickle people to lighten the mood in a boardroom.
Well, I'll leave that with you. That's one that might take a cultural shift of epic proportion.
Exactly. Well, I love what you've got to say, and I love what you're all about. So if you could summarise, what is your overall mission for your life, your practice, your career?
I've had a passion since I was very young. My father was in politics, and one of our best closest family friends was a local paediatrician in my local town, and I did my work experience as a Year 10 student with him. And at the end of it, he said, I was desperate to be a paediatrician because I love kids, and he said, don't do this. He said, you'll only see children that are sick. And he said, do something life-giving. And I was like, wow, what is that? And so that set me on a path going, do something life-giving. And then when I had my first adjustment and I felt the power restored in my body, I was like, wow. I had no idea that chiropractors were like second-class citizens or anything back then. I thought, wow, this is great. And I was like, that is for me, and I could feel that immediacy of switching electricity back on in my body. And so I set on this journey of trying to assist that and deliver that. And so now I lecture on all things healthy and life-giving, and my mission is to help change the health of the world.
Oh, and you're well on your way, Simon. Thank you so, so much for your time today. If you want to follow more on Dr. Simon Floreani, you can visit him on his website, vitalitygroup.com.au. Thank you so much again, Simon, and we look forward to seeing how you change the world. And if you'd like to get in touch with me and perhaps be featured in your very own interview and have your own mission to share on our podcast, please get in touch via Instagram, Maritza_Barone, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Have a wonderful, healthy, happy day, and I'll see you guys soon.